Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome to Coco's Corner. I'm the huge one, Dave Coco from Kocosports.com, KOCOsports.com, where the world comes to kick ass, your home for combat sports, and where it's okay to be a passionate fan. This is our weekly Impact Wrestling review, and as always, we ask you to leave in the comments, did you think this was a win, loss, or tie? This was a tough one for me to call, but I'm going to say win, but this would have been more than a win. This could have been the greatest impact in pro wrestling history. I mean, really, it could have been absolutely amazing. I hope that they get their shit together with Spike. It sounds like it's getting good. And it's funny because I always talk about WWE and Vince McMahon having his back against the wall and doesn't put on a good product unless his back is against the wall. And we need some real competition for Vince to fucking get off his fat, lazy ass and do something. You could say the same thing about Impacts now. TMZ reported that Spike TV was getting canceled. Now there'll be some Impact fans that say, "It's not canceled. They're just fuck you, fuck you. You're the reason a lot of people hate TNA." But they had their backs against the wall. They went to New York. They wanted to prove their television deal, and they have absolutely been awesome in New York. Delivered home run after home run after home run. And what scares me is, I hope they get their television deal. If they do get their television deal, I hope they keep it up. I would never leave New York, and I would never stop booking shows like this. But if this was live, this would have been one of the best shows of all time. People would have been talking about it for years to come. So good job, TNA. But you have to go live. You have to stay in New York. You have to go live. You have to have your back against the wall. You just have to keep doing good stuff like this. Was it a perfect show? No, it was not a perfect show by any means. Was it a win? Yes. Will this? To me, this is my humble opinion. This was a reward for loyal TNA fans. Some of them more delusional than others. This was an award, a reward for them. It was like, hey, listen, dude, you've been fucking loyal. Let's put on a good goddamn show. I don't think this is going to win over any WWE fans. I don't think this is going to win. It's not going to get the praise that it deserves from people that call it right down the middle. And there's reasons for that. One, it's not live. Two, Impact. Minus the internet. Let's just say you only go to Facebook. You only go to Facebook. You only go to the You only go to TNA stuff. You know, you're like, I love TNA. I don't want to hear anything wrong with it. TNA is great. I'm only going to stay on Impact. And you only stay on Impact. They gave away too many spoilers. Now, one, they had to get rid of. I avoid spoilers like the Black Plague. I'm like, I feel like, fuck, what's that great baseball movie? Oh, fuck. Not A League of Their Own. Shit, it was a dating movie. Drew Barrymore's in it. Boston Red Sox. Fever Pitch. And, like, he has the lobster hands, like, la, 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 la. He doesn't want to know who won the game. That's what I am when it comes to spoilers on TNA and SmackDown. But it was impossible to avoid spoilers with her going through the table. And I wonder how ratings are going to do, because the show had a great finish, had some great parts in the show. It wasn't a perfect show by any stretch of the means. They did go way too far as dragging out this storyline. And, of course, you know, I was about to call her Stephanie. Dixie does a lot more than Stephanie does these days. I never thought they passed the buck. As a guy who calls it right down the middle, I never thought it'd be like, well, Stephanie's a fucking idiot and Dixie Carter's really got her shit together. You know, sometimes you have to eat crow. I never thought she was going through a table. Obviously, you know, all these people out of the woodwork are like, say she went through the table. Yeah, it's easy to say she's going to go through a table. After the spoilers are out there, fucking calm down, Meltzer Jr., But I did not think she was ever going through the table, so I have to eat some crow. And I hate Dixie Carter, but it's a different type of hate. It's a hate where I start feeling bad for them. You know, in V for Vendetta and a lot of other stories, there's stories like how you start hating someone. And then once you hate them so much, you start feeling bad for them. That's how far my hatred for Dixie Carter goes. I actually feel bad for her. I don't even hate her. Like, people are like, Dixie Carter's a fucking idiot. I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. She has feelings. Of course she's an idiot. You don't need to tell her that. But she delivered on every aspect of this. Now, obviously, the spoilers, even by Impact themselves, one thing that's debate is, should they have given a spoiler about her going through the table? I think they had to. I think their hands were tied. Everyone knew she was going through the table at this point, and at least they did a gimmick with it. WWE fans and PG-sensitive people are not going to enjoy this because they're just like, well, your heroes just beat up an old lady. And it does look bad. It does look bad out of context. But you got to remember the storyline has been built, I think, too long. I think if this was a 3-week storyline, this might have been one of the greatest moments in wrestling history. And it was live. Because let me tell you, I'm going to eat crow. I never thought she was ever going through a table. I was like, whatever, who gives a shit? And then she went through the table. I was like, holy shit, I'm wrong. It's one of those things, as far as going through the table, I feel good for TNA fans, but this is how it kind of breaks down. It's like, you want to sleep with someone. You're like, man, I really want to sleep with that girl or guy, depending on your sexuality. And you're like, I really want to sleep with that person. But, I want to sleep with her within 3 to 4 dates. I'm a bit scummy that way. I am. I'm a bit of a scumbag. So, if this was 3 to 4 dates, I'd be like, fuck yeah, Dixie Carter went through the table. It was great. I don't want to wine and dine a Dixie Carter moment for months at a time. I just don't. She doesn't have a good enough personality. She's not smiling enough. And it was one of those things, if they did it in 3 weeks, 3 dates, bam, this would be amazing. If they did it in one, it would rock your world. It'd be the one-night stand you talked about forever. And I feel happy for Impact fans, but at the same time, I feel like that one friend who tried to get that one girl for so long and finally got her. You're not really going to buy him a beer and a trophy and all that. You're just like, good for that guy. Good for that guy. I don't know if I would have waited that long, but hey, each their own. Each their own. So, yeah, I never thought she was going through a table. I was impressed that she did, and I hate Dixie Carter, and I thought she hit a home run. I thought she ruined Destination X, for me at least. I thought the Samoa Joe match should have been last week, but each their own. So congratulations, TNA. Now, I hope this helps the ratings, because, I'm really excited for TNA, but then I read something like, wow, last year's ratings were better than this year's. And I'm like, fuck. But just hopefully it keeps getting better. One thing they did really smart on YouTube is they had a fan. And how rigged is it? How kayfabe is it? Who cares? It's the image. They had a fan that couldn't get into New York because it was sold out, and they gave them 2 free tickets on YouTube. And I was like, you need to run small arenas. You need to never leave this fucking... Let me tell you that. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about TNA, but at the same time, like, they need to keep this going. You know what I mean? They just need to keep it going. They need to stay in New York. They need to stay in this building. They need to fucking keep putting on great shows like this. Their back has to be up against the wall every single fucking week. And that's what I missed about the $10 pay-per-views. Everyone's like, you're a TNA hater. Go fuck yourself if you never bought a TNA pay-per-view. All right? A $10 TNA pay-per-view. The TNA pay-per-views were great, $10, because the backs were always against the wall. And for an alternative, or any company, when your back's against the wall, that's when the best shit happens. And I just hope Impact stops living in this daydream world of, hey, we can beat WWE. No, you can't. They're a monopoly, and you're not going to beat them by being them. But let me tell you, if you keep running shows like this, you'll have a way better chance of beating them by being yourself. Was there a little too much ECW? Yes. But I hope that phases out eventually. I really do. It was very ECW heavy. So please, in the comments, put what you thought, win, loss, or tie. I thought it was a win with some errors. I'm very happy for TNA fans. And especially the TNA fans that I don't enjoy are the ones that are blindly fucking following Impact. I think you heard it more than fucking help it, to be honest. But for them, I feel good. At least they got a reward. They got what they wanted. So there you go. Please in the comments put win, loss, or tie what you thought of this Impact. Like I said, if this was live, this might have been one of the best ever. All right, here's it goes. Vincent is Valentine. I'm going to some live comments here. Vincent is Valentine. I hope I pronounced that right. Here's my crossing fingers and toes that this momentum will be sustained in the long term. That's what I'm talking about. I just talked for like 27 minutes, and you fucking summed it up in a sentence, sir. Vincent, congratulations. That's how I feel. That in one sentence, I think that's how a lot of people feel. So, yeah, I absolutely do. And like I said, Spike, it's got to be live. It's got to be in New York. And the pay-per-views have to be overseas. You do that, I would cancel house shows. I don't even give a fuck if the baseball stadiums are paying you. Cancel house shows and just run New York City, that building, that pay-per-views overseas, UK, all that. Fuck Orlando. I'm from Orlando. Majority of a big chunk of my life, I was in the Tampa Central area. Fuck that place, dude. Fuck that place. They got too much entertainment. There's not enough population. In Orlando, there's way more entertainment than population. Where New York City, they have tons of entertainment, but a huge fucking population to choose from. Oh, man. Vincent, congratulations. Give yourself 1,000,000 points. You did it. It's exactly how I feel. Andy Paps, I'm going to go give an Impact a win. The Monsters Ball match was good. Hardcore was great. 6-man tag was okay. The KO segment was good. The X Division title match being the main event was awesome. It gave the X Division... I do this every fucking show. Every show. I knock other shows for making the same mistake over and over. And every week I do this. All right, let's go. Bam. Bam. All right. I'm going to give... Okay, so the X Division needed an injection of Samoa Joe as champ. I agree. They finally gave... Dude, know what it is? WWE and TNA under Dixie Carter minus the New York tour. This is the problem I have with pro wrestling in general. WWE's formula, which TNA and Dixie Carter have done. The Dixie Carter has been the WWE formula. I don't care what TNA fans say. Like, it's different. It's Jeff Hardy. No, it's the same fucking formula. And the formula what TNA and WWE does is don't give the fans what they want 90% of the time and 10% give it time. Well, when their back was against the wall, like, oh, people have to renew with Spike. Oh, people have to buy the network. When their back is against the wall, then they reverse it, and they're like, let's give them 90% of what they want and 10% what they don't want. And I'm under that school. Like, I only ran indie promotions, but I ran like 300 to 400 fucking people for 4 or 5 times a day. I was making a full-time living running indie promotions, and that's not an easy task, I assure you. With that said, is I always was under the impression, give the fans what they want 90% of the time, and 10% don't. And I noticed with Spike TV fucking hammering their balls, they did it. And you don't have to follow WWE's formula. And in New York, they didn't do that, so I'm proud of them. So Samoa Joe as champ is a great X Division title, more credibility, of course. I just wish they never did Option C. I fucking hate Option C. And because now it fucking... I don't want to talk about it. That's last week. And, of course, best part of the night, Dixie going through the table. Got to give her nice props for taking a bump. Not only that, but she did something that I thought she would never do, and her promo was building up to. We're passionate. Like I said, I've come to the point where I hate Dixie Carter so much, I feel bad for her. Like, ask Dixie. I was like, oh, that poor fucking bitch. She doesn't even know. This is the first time as that much of a hater that I enjoyed Dixie Carter for a whole show. She wasn't an infomercial. Now, granted, has she been an infomercial? Yes, her whole fucking on-screen airtime is like, I pay for this! Let me be a character! This is the first time Dixie Carter has ever added value. And I'm not even talking about the bump, because everyone knew that was coming, thanks to spoilers and not being live. I'm talking the build-up to the bump. Look at last week. Last week, annoying as fuck. Look at her whole fucking career. If I don't give... If you go, Dixie Carter's not annoying, you fuck, I don't, like, sometimes you just sit there and stare at someone, like, really? Like, there's points where, like, if I meet someone for the first time, like, oh, what sport do you like? Oh, I don't like sports. I look at them like they're from another fucking planet. Well, you don't like sports? Any sport? Okay, That, and like I also look at it from another planet if they don't like pizza. I'm like, oh, you want to eat lunch? Okay, bro, let's go eat lunch. You want some pizza? Oh, I don't like pizza. Like, I just stare at them like, is this guy fucking for real? Am I on a candid camera? Are you fucking with me? Who the fuck doesn't like sports and pizza? That's how I look at people. They're like, oh, no, Dixie Carter's not annoying. But for the first time ever in this show, even without the table bump, she did an amazing job. All right, so let's see. Mike Ashman says, I feel TNA Impact, even with the spoilers, I feel was a win. I agree with that. I do believe it was a win, but without the spoilers, this being live, I think we're on here going absolutely crazy and putting it over, and I think it's one of those fucking moments you remember forever, like the Six Signs of Steel with Triple X. I think it's one of those moments you're like, wow. You know, the September 11th three-way match between Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, and AJ Styles. There's moments in TNA history you're like, I will remember this forever for being pure greatness. The Triple X, America's Most Wanted, Six Signs of Steel match, dude, go do yourself a favor. Dude, I don't even give a fuck what your opinion on TNA is, because a lot of people are so one-sided. That is one of the most fucking entertainment things. Dude, it's just pure, it's beauty. I mean, I don't mean to get all fucking romantic, but it's one of my favorite matches of all time. And then the September 11th pay-per-view they did, I think it was Unbreakable. Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, and Christopher Daniels in a three-way. I think the way we talk about that, where we're just like, dude, you need to go see it. I think if this was a live segment, people would talk about it the same way. I do believe, of course, there was down points, but overall, with this shit fest that 3 hours spits out at their viewers, Raw spits out for their viewers, TNA tonight offered a quality mainstream pro wrestling product, without a doubt. And I try to call it right down the middle, because I think there's too many people that are fucking delusional on one side. TNA in New York has been better than WWE. Now, out in Orlando and Miami, no. You can't say that with a straight face. You know, if you're like, that's better. Like, some weeks they're both horrible, some weeks they're both good, but you can't be like, oh no, TNA is better, WWE is better, without being fucking honest. But in this New York trip, I do believe TNA has been better than WWE, and hopefully they keep it up. It would be excited. It's just, man, it's been 11, 12 fucking years. If you did this the whole fucking time, you could win so many people over. Andy Paps, I'm going to give Impact a win. The Monsters Ball. Oh, I already read this. Apologize. Vincent, hey, bro, still no word on whether or not Tajiri Kana thing was real. I imagine it's real. I've read this. This is a Japanese question. People are wanting Kana to wrestle in Impact because she's one of the best female wrestlers of all time. I think she won my female wrestler of the year like 2-3 years in a row, and even this year I could have gave it to her again, but I gave it to a retiring female. But Kana is by far the best female wrestler, in my opinion, out there. And there's reports on it that Tajiri treated her like shit and stiffed her and just treated her bad. Now, Kana has a reputation of leaving companies. She has kind of the CM Punk reputation. But in Japan, women get treated pretty fucking bad. So I don't know what's factual. I can just tell you what I've read. But yeah, what I've read is Tajiri treated Kana bad. But the problem with the reason I don't say it's factual, because like a lot of people make fun of LOL dirt sheets, LOL internet, LOL Meltzer, and Meltzer has a pretty good track record if you went story by story percentage wise. I honestly think Meltzer got paid to fucking throw us off about CM Punk. I think he took a dive on purpose and got made money off WWE. But not defending Meltzer, not defending the internet, but the problem is in Japan, a lot of the news media and forums stay very kayfabe and keep it very sportish. So it's kind of like reading the old PWI magazines for wrestling news. You're like, did this really happen, or is just some guy making it up? So, but they take it very serious and they treat it like a sport. So I don't know if it's factual, but there are plenty of reports that Tajiri treated Kana bad. So that's my answer. I'm sorry, I'm not as confident. It's just, like I said, you know, America's like, LOL, dirt sheet, come to Japan. But I don't know, sometimes it's good because they just treat it like a sport. So, I don't know, it's very interesting. The way Dixie almost landed on her neck, though, yikes. Yeah, I mean, I don't, I don't know. Bully Ray is really good at protecting people on that spot. He's done that to in ECW days, early WWE days. He even did that spot to, I believe, Mae Young. Um, So, yeah, he's really good at protecting people. But, yeah, it's close. Anytime you go off the top rope with an inexperienced person, you're taking a real risk. And that's why I give her more credit. You know, like, and this is kind of the negative of me talking, and I'm answering Vincent's question here. This is the negative part of me talking. Spike TV really likes to buy its own programming because they think they built UFC. They think they helped WWE. How true is that? That's a debate that can go on forever. So they bought Bellator, and to me, I think this would be the perfect time for Dixie to leave. I just think she has too much pride. It's been a rough ride for Dixie Carter owning Impact. I'm sure it's got to be a rough ride on her too. I mean, she's such a sweet person. She's just not very smart. It's like that aunt. You're like, you're a good person. You're a fucking idiot. Good person, but idiot. Yeah, those reports on ratings comparison are like unexpected punch to the gut. Yeah. When I was so pumped up for TNA, Vincent's talking about Destination X. I thought Destination X should have bumped Dixie Carter, had the Samoa Joe final. I think that I think it would have been better. I think maybe it would have helped the ratings. I don't know. You know, it's iffy, but I thought they were doing everything right. And then when I read the report that last year's ratings were better than this year's ratings, I was just like, oh, fuck. Damn, that's a punch in the gut to TNA for sure. Vincent also says the first NWA TNA pay-per-view I ever ordered where it featured Styles six-pack versus Sting, Jarrett main event. I ordered them all. I ordered the first one, which was in Alabama. Ken Shamrock won. I was looking for an alternative. I was doing radio back then. Let me tell you something. Kids, sit down. I feel like I'm an old man. Before YouTube, before the internet, you actually had to have... I'm insulting myself. I'm not just insulting YouTubers. You had to have talent. And you had to convince people to put you on the radio station. Oh, times were tough. But somehow, I weaseled my way onto like 30 radio stations to do a wrestling show. And we were on Wednesday nights. Wednesday nights were the weekly pay-per-views for TNA. And we were on Wednesday nights as soon as they went off the air. And I was like, dude, this is awesome. We worked with them. They were so much cooler back then. And I mean cooler as in like how they treat media. I just, somewhere along the line, WWE guys came over and they're like, wow, let's just fucking be a pain in the ass. And they never said, no, we won't give you TNA guys to interview. They just made it so difficult. You're just like, I don't even want to fucking help your company anymore. And it was funny because, like, they did it to so many people. TNA is so fucking stupid. The history of TNA will make you bang your fucking head against the wall. But, yeah, I watched every single $10 pay-per-view, and we even had pay-per-view parties where you could come to the station. We had not that many, but about 30 to 40 people come every week. We watched the pay-per-view, and we'd go live on the air and interview one of their talents. It was really fun. We handed out flyers. I did a lot in the day to help Impact. But, dude, like, I just remember, I think it was Bob Ryder. Don't quote me on that, but it was just some fucking dick. I'm like, dude, this is how much of a dick they were. I was like, hey, listen, it doesn't matter. We have 40 people here. Get us anyone. Oh, but who do you want? I'm like, you're their PR guy. We can interview any of their fucking people. Just get me a TNA talent. Oh, but who do you want? We have 40 people. We're on 30 fucking stations. We have pizza and goddamn beer. We don't give a fuck who we want. We just want a goddamn weekly guest. But who do you want? Okay. I see where this is going, TNA. Fine. Who do we want? We want Sting. How do you like that? How do you like those fucking apples, asshole? We can't give Sting. Kurt Angle. And we listed off all these fucking assholes. And we're just like, all right, listen. Give us Shark Boy. And they're like, oh, Shark Boy can't talk. And I was like, listen, why don't you do us a favor and say, hey, your 30 to 40 people that show up live at a radio station and your 30 small radio networks do not matter to us anymore. Can you at least do that? And they're like, oh, well, they matter. I'm not saying they don't matter, just like wrestling matters. They do matter. You're 30, you know, and then they get it like, listen, I just don't want to do this anymore. And they were on 30 to 40 stations for free. I was handing out flyers, and literally all I asked, dude, some of the best interviews were with I don't mean to be, but the lower end talent. Like, the best fucking guest we ever had was that fucking female who was a singer and a ring announcer, Goldilocks. She was such a great person. She knew how to act with the crowd. She knew how to answer fans. Like, sometimes, yeah, when I worked with Impact, I noticed that sometimes the smaller ones would get over. And a lot of times when you work with radio, they don't give a shit. If you're like, oh, I'm Jeff Jarrett, and Jeff Jarrett just sits there and being an asshole towards people. It's because our problem is we had Jeff Jarrett 1 week too many. We're like, oh, Jeff Jarrett came on. We're like, dude, this is great. This is the best we've ever done. He's like, I'll come on next week. I was like, all right, I'll fucking hold you to that. Came on next week, and he was such a dick. I'm like, hey, listen, dude, and like, it's so funny because I had to work at radio. In radio, you have bosses. Like, here, I could say, fuck, shit, stutter, doesn't matter. There, you have to answer so many bosses, especially when you're on 30 radio stations. And I just remember going, I don't give a shit who these people are. You have 30, 40, 50 people here fucking watching a radio show live. We're buying the pay-per-views. Like, just get us people that are friendly. And they couldn't do that. They fucking couldn't do that. So they lost 30 to 40 radio stations because, don't quote me, it might have been Bob Ryder, it might have been someone else, because they were just dicks. But like, dude, we'll take anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. And I'm sure that back then, TNA, like, oh yeah, I don't even want to talk about it. I fucking hate TNA because they make so many fucking mistakes and they can be so good. Oh, man, let's hope they just fucking get better. But yeah, I watched every single $10 pay-per-view. It was great back then. I Am Mikey says, let's fantasy book going forward. What key factors do you see boost TNA as a product, talent, feel will elevate their division and business models? Wise tips you market TNA better for these strong New York City shows? All right, I don't know about fantasy booking, but here, I've said it. I'm just going to keep saying it. Never leave that fucking building for Impact. That's the new Impact Zone. Never leave that fucking building. Second, the ECW stuff has to fade out. Has to fade out. They were still happy to see Bobby Roode. They were still happy to see Samoa Joe. They're still happy to see Austin Aries. I know you wanted ECW to be there. You have to fade the ECW stars out and build up your own stars and just make the bet. It's such a fucking simple equation. But maybe you should put on a T-shirt. Maybe the best wrestlers that connect with the crowd should get pushed. That's it. That's the easy equation. Just have the best wrestlers that connect with the crowd. So, yeah, that's what I would do. As far as booking goes, just keep it edgy, keep it guessing, and just do something that's different than the formula that WWE does. Samoa Joe as X Division champ is an awesome move. I agree. This is Mike Ashman. Joe versus Low Key will be dope feud to rebuild the roots of the X Division. I hope you're absolutely right. Now with international talent, New Japan included, and indie talent through North America, who would you book to elevate the X Division? These questions are hard because I've been doing this for a really long time with TNA, and you got to remember they had the best. Let's put it this way: if you ask a WWE fan who's the best in the world, they would say CM Punk. Most of them would say CM Punk. If you ask an international fan who's the best in the world, they would say Okada, Tanahashi. They had them. They had them. So you'd be like, oh, I can list off a million people. Here's a problem. The best talent in the world is going to NXT. You had the best talent in the world. So can you imagine a main event, CM Punk versus Okada, and you booked them right and promoted them right? Yeah, so like sometimes people are like, wow, who would you get? Fuck, who would I get? Get your shit in order. I ain't fucking reading off a list. I would try, but I'll still answer the question. I would try to get Dragon Gate guys. They're the fastest, best cruiserweights in the business. New Japan pays way too high. New Japan hates TNA. So yeah, I would definitely I would work with Dragon Gate. That's what I would do. And then Lucha, maybe AAA, CMLL, see which one you can work with. And the problem is Jarrett's picking up all the good companies. So it's interesting. As far as indies, I don't follow the indies as much as I should. Sometimes I turn on Ring of Honor and be like, what the fuck is going on? I know more about, in my humble opinion, I know more about international wrestlers than I do indies. But yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of great indies. Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, Ring of Honor, Jakara if you want a little bit of comedy. Yeah, so, I mean, I would love to see Roderick Strong because I just think Roderick Strong's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. But yeah, as far as the newer guys, ACH. I love ACH. I think ACH is amazing. So James Legend would probably be better to answer the indie guys. But if I was them, I'd hit up Dragon Gate. Not Dragon Gate USA. I don't really know much about Dragon Gate USA. Dragon Gate, the real Dragon Gate. Dragon Gate Japan. So yeah, that's what I would hit. I mean, you can get Yamato, you get Mad Blanky, you can get just so many great talents in there and just go. But you gotta book them and not be embarrassing. New Japan, straight up fucking hates TNA. Hates fucking TNA. And now, granted, Japanese companies are more willing to forgive people, but it's got to the point even the fans hate TNA. Like, it's so funny because TNA fans love New Japan, but I live in Tokyo, and I'll go and be like, all right, wrestling bar, yeah, New Japan, yeah, woohoo! What about TNA? Fuck them! And I'm like, all right, well, it's like two companies in other worlds, and Impact is like that guy that's like, Impact fans are like, we love New Japan, and New Japan's fans are like, fuck you. It's a very, very bad relationship. Bully Ray did his best to protect Dixie, but you could tell the way her body folds up at her age, it was going to do some damage. It was noted that Dixie broke 2 bones in her back from the bump. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, you're old. Even if everything is absolutely protected, you're old and beat up. I can't do the stuff I did when I was younger. Eventually, you just get old and beat up. Plus, she's, just a woman. And that's why a lot of WWE, TNA haters / WWE fans / people that gave up on TNA are like, well, why are the heroes beating up an old lady? How the fuck is this a good thing? And it's kind of like, well, they do have a point, but at the same time, fucking good for TNA. Mike Ashman says, I also tuned into Ken Shamrock TNA run, and AJ Styles won in the first X Division. I know, how fucking awesome was that? TNA title with a huge celebration back in 02, 03-ish. Was that TNA got me the alternative fan. I was always looking for something outside of WWE. This is also the spark of YouTube where I found ROH, Combat Zone Wrestling, Jersey All Pro, and Japanese Strong Style. Yeah. I got to get back more into indies. I really do. I mean, I probably know more about the indies than the average WWE fan, but nowhere near as much as I used to or should. James Legend knows a lot about the indies. So there you go. All right, we answered some questions. We talked. I was like, man, this is gonna be a quick show. We haven't even started breaking this down. Let's break this down. It'll probably be a lot faster on the breakdown, but please keep your comments coming, and we'll do live comments again. All right, match 1, Monsters Ball match. $10. No, I'm just kidding. I don't even have $10. This is not a Monsters Ball match. I fucking hate TNA. I hate the fact that they call hardcore matches Monsters Ball match. Fuck you. Abyss versus Bram. I'm not a big fan of Bram. I think Abyss back in the day used to be one of the best big man pro wrestlers in the business. I think those days are long behind him. I think they ruined his character, and he's just not the man he used to be as far as in-ring work. But at one time, Abyss was the best big man wrestler in the business. I'm not buying Bram. To me, as a fan, I'm speaking as a fan now, when I see Bram, I say, that's the guy who ruined Magnus. That's all I see. It was a pretty decent hardcore match. It was not a Monsters Ball match, but it's a good way to start it off. And the one thing about this is, the New York people love hardcore, and as far as most wrestling fans are not willing to go find Ring of Honor, yet indies or a New Japan. Most wrestling fans are like, WWE, TNA, nothing else exists. But the good thing about most of those fans is a lot of them want to see hardcore wrestling. A lot of them like that. A lot of them miss it. and it's doing something alternative than WWE. So I like hardcore wrestling. I've just seen Big Japan. It's kind of like seeing a really good Combat Zone wrestling match or a Big Japan match. You just can't take it as seriously anymore. And it was an average hardcore match that people unwilling to find other alternatives will think is great. So that's good. Good for a business. Stop calling a Monsters Ball match. Dear Dixie Carter. She's probably having a bad day. Let's go to her assistant, Spud. Dear Spud. Stop calling it a Monsters Ball match. Thank you. Signed, people who paid $10 to watch pay-per-views back in the day. Match 2, the Bromans defeated Mr. Anderson, Gunner, and Samuel Shaw. It was pretty entertaining, 6-man tag, very storyline driven. At one time, Mr. Anderson used to be my favorite. I used to hate Gunner, but then I found out me and him have the same exact job in the Marine Corps, and they fucking just, like, you have to root for it's Semper Fi. It's your fucking brother out there. So I do root for him because he's 0331. I do root for Samuel Shaw because he's a Florida independent guy, and I made I don't want to say made money. That's kind of douchey. I had a lot of fun. That sounds even douchier following that statement in Florida. So, yeah, so I root for the Florida guys. But I just don't buy the storyline. I just don't like it. I especially don't like it because being a former military guy myself, 0331, machine gunner just like Gunner, I think comparing Samuel Shaw's character's problems to people that have served in war is kind of an insult. And I've blasted Gunner on this before. And I don't know. I think other veterans talk to Gunner because, like, he said stuff where veterans are like, dude, that's a dick move. Don't fucking say that. Like, one time he's like, oh, I'm going to fucking, have a fucking breakdown in the ring and beat you up. And I was just like, dude, no. Don't make veterans look bad, Gunner. But Samuel Shaw fucking compare, and they don't do it directly. But me, being a former Marine, dealing with people that fucking lose their shit often, indirectly, that's kind of bullshit. That's kind of bullshit, Gunner. You know it. And if you're a real 0331 like you say you are, Lance Corporal, fucking boots. You need to fucking you have to step up and be like, no, dude, you can't fucking compare a rich guy who wants to fuck his mother with someone who served. You just can't do that. The storyline's moving along. I feel like it's the AJ Lee Page storyline, where it's like, this is awesome, this is awkward, back and forth. I find the Bromans to be entertaining. They're growing on me. When the Bromans first came out, I'm like, I'm old! I don't get young people! Fucking whippersnappers, get off my grass! That was my reaction to Bromans, but they're slowly growing on me. The Bromans win, storyline continues. Match 3, Hardcore War, EC3 Rhino, Reclot, what the fuck name is that? Alright, and Gene Snitsky versus Tommy Dreamer, Team 3D, and question mark, but their own website gave a spoiler. It was Al Snow. And it was cool to see Head again. It was cool to see ECW. I am a huge ECW fan. If it wasn't for ECW, I would not be a wrestling fan today. There comes a point in your life where you're like, I don't know, other people don't like this. Maybe I should stop liking it. Like, there's a point that comes in your life when you're a young man when it comes to pro wrestling, and something, either you go to find an alternative or something sparks your interest again. And for me, it was ECW. If ECW wasn't around, I probably would have gave up on wrestling. But, now I'm here on YouTube. What a fucking happy story that is. I enjoyed it. I'm glad New York City enjoyed it, but the thing is, people liked Bobby Roode. People like Austin Aries. You can kind of tone. I hope they stay in New York, and I hope they slowly but surely tone down the ECW stuff. The one thing that I absolutely loved about the Dixie Carter spot was that was the loudest, genuine TNA chant I've heard in a while. Prior to that, it's ECW, this is awesome. And Dixie Carter going through the table did it, so it was really interesting. Angelina Love wants a rematch. I think it's leading to a four-way. These women are, man, like sometimes you lose yourself in WWE and TNA, and you're like, oh, there's the big debate of who has better women's wrestlers, and sometimes you lose yourself. You see Charlotte, you see AJ Lee, you see Paige, and you're like, you know what? Oh, the Divas are pretty fucking good, and sometimes the knockouts fuck up. But I had the realization when all these women were in the ring, they still have the best women, even without Victoria, even without Awesome Kong. They still have the best women in the business. Those four women, for American terms, are amazing wrestlers, and they look fantastic. So I know, like, a lot of times people are like, oh, the knockouts are way better than Divas, and there's times where that's just not true. But with those four women feuding, the way they look, the way they can wrestle, this was kind of a staple where you're just like, you know what? The knockouts fucking regained their crown, at least in my eyes. I don't know, maybe people have been loyal to knockouts. Maybe people still like, oh, fuck you, AJ Lee's amazing. But to me, I go back and forth, and sometimes it's like, you know what, maybe the Divas are just as good. But with these four women in this promo, I just remember, I remember what there was on Raw, what wrestling there was, and I was just like, you know what? It fucking, like, refreshed. It's so weird, because it was just a fucking simple promo. But to me, as a fan, it was more than that. It fucking hit me going, no, these women are beautiful and way better wrestlers. I don't know if that's what they were going for, but that's what it hit me as. It's going to lead to a four-way next week, I believe. Match 4, triple threat of the X Division Championship. I thought this was match of the night. Not moment of the night, but to me it was match of the night. The part that pisses me off about this match is this should have been last week. You should have dumped Dixie Carter. You should have made Dixie Carter and Bully Ray one promo on Destination X. You shouldn't have had two separate promos. And people are pissed because how bad those promos really were. And you should have just fucking not done it. And you should have had Sonata, low-key, Samoa Joe. It would have helped out this last week's show so much better. But with that said, I thought this was match of the night. I loved it. I was like, man, this is the X Division. Fuck Austin Aries and his goddamn Option C. And it fucking... I don't know why. Austin Aries has been really on my fucking shitbag fucking wagon lately. I just fucking my body, my vote, Option C, option... Shut the fuck up! Just go away, Austin Aries. You're fucking ruining something I love. But yeah, it just pissed me off because Samoa Joe could have done this and won the title. They should have never took it off Sonata. Man, I just hope that Samoa Joe, low-key, Sonata, and so much talent out there rebuilds the X Division. And dear Austin Aries, I used to love you. Now, go fuck yourself. Love. It's my body! Don't follow your heroes on Twitter, kids. That's what we can learn from here. Main event, hashtag it happens. It was just basically cutting a promo. The only thing, this was probably the best segment Dixie Carter's ever done. This is probably the best segment TNA has done in a real long time. Did it take too long to get here? Yes. But at the end of the day, it was still good. Does it suck that the spoilers got out? Of course, but it was still good. It could have been one of the greatest moments in TNA history if 2 or 3 things changed, but still, a great moment, great segment. And I'm interested to see where the ratings goes, because if the ratings go down, it would be saying, dude, if this was just done on a live show. But yeah, I thought it was the best thing Dixie Carter's ever done. And a lot of people are like, that's not fair, it's a table spot. Minus the table spot. Let's say the table spot never happened. The build-up to the table spot on this show only was amazing. Her promos were good. The only thing I question is she fires Ryklon. I don't know, fuck him. And Snitsky. I as a fan, I was like, yeah, fuck those guys, big fucking musclehead WWE rejects. Now, That was my first thing, you know, as a fan. But then as like the guy living in the kayfabe world, I'm part of the show, I'm part of the experience. I want to believe what's going on. I'm like, why would you fire them now? But Dixie Carter saved that. Someone, please get a soundbite of that, because those are words that I thought I would never say in my fucking life. Let me fucking, dude, that hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. It was not easy to say that. Dixie Carter saved that by trying to fire all the fans and all that. So I thought it was a bit out of place, but Dixie saved it. And like I said, if this was live, if we didn't know about spoilers, if they shortened up the builds, this could have been one of the greatest moments in fucking TNA history. And it was a really good moment. Now, granted, super WWE fans and TNA haters are going to shit on it, and they might have some valid points, but they weren't along for the ride. So it's kind of like, yeah, you have valid points, but at the same time, you weren't along for the ride. So yeah, it's kind of weird. All right, let's go to some live comments. Boom, 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 boom. Thank you, Mike Ashman, for so many comments. Alright, TNA needs to come to Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm okay with that, as long as it's a pay-per-view. Every Impact should be in New York City. Every pay-per-view should be overseas. Fuck the top stars of TNA are from Toronto. New York City and Toronto will save TNA Impact tapings worldwide for major events. Alright, so you're trying to steal some Impacts. You're trying to steal some Impacts for Toronto. If it was me, and I'm just saying, I would book Tokyo once a year, Bound for Glory. Hopefully it does good. I'm really nervous about it. I would book Bound for Glory, and then I would just book all overseas. Canada and the UK, maybe one in India. That's all I would do. That's how I do all the pay-per-views, and I would stick with 6. But yeah, indeed, Bobby Roode, Eric Young, Gail Kim, Angelina Love, all from the great North. Yeah, Canada is one of the best pro wrestling in the world. TNA, here's the problem. TNA's been canceled, and I talk to people in Canada that work in TV networks. I talk to people in the UK that work at TV networks, and they're all like, yeah, here, it's cheap, and people are really fucking interested. It's kind of like, I feel bad because TNA is so successful everywhere except its home country. So, I don't know. I would do something, man, because even if they lose, I've talked to people that work in television behind the scenes. If they lose Spike, they might not get an American television deal that easily or an international television deal, but people in Canada are already lining up. People in the UK, they're on G Plus in Japan. They are a way better internationally ran company than American company. And I don't know, if it's not New York City, fuck America. And that's coming from an American. Fuck America, you know? And I don't know. I mean, personally, another successful thing, but it would cost way too much, and I think the interest and intrigue would go down. I would go to the UK a lot more. But like I said, let's see. How many pay-per-views they have? 7? 6? I would do 1 in Tokyo, 1 in India, 2 in Toronto, 2 in Canada, and 2 in the UK. That's it. And then maybe sneak 1 off in India. That's what I would do. I'd be like bang, 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 bang. And then if Japan fails, if they do Bound for Glory and it fails, because it might fail. A lot of people do not think highly of TNA in Japan. But you never know. You got the American. So there's the Tokyo has an advantage and a disadvantage. An advantage that Tokyo has is the population is crazy high. It's like New York City. It's just our population's crazy high. They enjoy pro wrestling a lot. Not as much as they used to. Pro wrestling used to be way more popular than it is now in Japan. But they have fans, and they'll go to the events. But also the problem with that is Tokyo is the mecca. They're going to have a New Japan show. You're going to have, if you live next to the Tokyo Dome, I live about 20 minutes away by train. I can watch wrestling every single day, and it gets almost overwhelming that you don't go to any shows. It's crazy because you're like, oh well, in Tampa, WWE only comes once a year. Oh, there's some factor in it once a year because a lot of people are like, oh, I haven't even gone to G1, and I was like, it's kind of dickish, but I didn't go to G1 because when they came to Tokyo, Okada wasn't on the card. I ain't gonna pay for no fucking G1 and not see Okada. So yeah, it's weird because people think I'm a fucking asshole. They're like, oh, fuck you, you're a critical fucking dickwad. And, you know, there's a point to that, you know, yeah. But there's a reason behind my dickwadness. I live in Tokyo. I fucking can go see wrestling 24/7, dude. I guarantee there's 3 shows going on today. It's summer break. There's so much pro wrestling to choose from, so you can go down and choose. Like, I like Dragon Gate. Some people like Noah. Some people like New Japan. Everyone likes something else, and you have that choice. But in America, you only have like 2 choices, so you're like, oh, TNA, WWE, Democrat, Republican, Burger King, McDonald's. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Fucking land of the free? Let's have some more than fucking 2 choices there, fucking scumnuggets. Alright, I got off topic, but, and then Mike Ashman comments on Vince's thing. Exactly. Coming from my hometown, I know the fact that the pop TNA would get would be insane. TNA, hashtag TNA Toronto. Start the campaign now. Yeah, as long as it's good on television, the fans are behind it. But yeah, Canada is crazy about pro wrestling right now. All right, let's see. Boom, boom. Any more comments? All right, yes. Hell yeah, I'm trying to steal some Impacts. My top picks for... All right. So Mike Ashman, hell yeah, I'm trying to steal some Impacts. My top picks for homes in TNA. New York City, Toronto, Japan, Europe, Mexico, South America. I don't know their television deal in South America. And not only that, but I think Jarrett has a lot of that locked up. But yeah, I'd like to see that. I don't agree with you about the Divas and Knockouts. Gail Kim, amazing. Angelina Love has lost a step. This is from Tiffany Nikki. Yes and no, but I see your point. Plus, like, I can make an argument for both sides. So, plus, I think she's leaving. Not sure. Tara Terrell, good, not great. You know what? I picked on Tara Terrell, and I'm going Taryn. Sorry, but I find her. I thought she was just a diva. I thought she was a piece of shit. But every time she gets in that ring, she delivers. Her match with Gail Kim was probably one of the best female matches I've seen of all time. Good, not great. I don't know. What little I've seen of her, she's put on some great matches. Velvet Sky is the Cameron of the beautiful people. Awful. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Tiffany, I don't know if I could agree with that. I mean, no, I can't agree with that. That's hurtful. That words have meanings. But yeah, I don't know. So I guess the debate continues. That's it for the internet imagery. Internet imagery, debate in the comments. Here we go. You ready? Bum, bum, bum. Here's the big debate. Who do you think right now, not of all time, right now, because obviously Awesome Kong can sway anyone. You know, Awesome Kong gets signed by Divas, they have the best women's division. I love Awesome Kong. Sorry, I do. All right, so as of right now, and granted, what an advantage TNA has. We're doing a TNA review. I'm sorry, Tiffany. This ain't even fair. You know what? Maybe we'll do this on a separate show. But as of right now, I'm such a dick. I want to apologize, Tiffany. I'm like, Tiffany, you think the Divas are better? Let me take a survey an hour plus into the Impact review. That's fair, right? I feel dirty. I feel like mainstream media. All right. As of right now, we'll ask this. We'll ask this on Raw. I'll try to ask this on Raw recap too. As of right now, who do you think has the best women's division? We will ask on Impact, and to make it fair, Tiffany, because I don't want to be a douche nugget, we will also ask on Raw. All right, bam, there you go. Or maybe the weekend review. So please remind me. All right, there we go. And we have questions from the last video. All right, so we'll save that for another time. Bam, bam. All right, so I think that's it. If there's no more live comments, boop. All right, if there's no more live comments, I have to watch NXT and do an NXT review. Plus, I'm going to be in the hospital tomorrow. Don't worry, I'll be fine. I have the best doctors in the world. I really do. So I appreciate my doctors. But will slightly be in the hospital, so I don't know when SmackDown or NXT is coming out, but I'm going to try my best to get them out. So please like, comment, subscribe, and above all, Jerry O'Neill has been busting his ass. Jerry O'Neill and David Cui have been busting their ass so hard on the blog, and for how hard they're working, more people deserve to see that blog. So please go check out Kocosports.com or Kocosports.net, and hopefully we can keep working hard where we'll be your #1 spot for wrestling reviews and combat sports news. And like I said, starting in September, I know I'm going to do a G1 Finals show, but starting in September, I'm going to try to break into more indie shows and more Japanese shows. I'm going to try to slowly but surely build it up. Because you got to remember, this channel at one time only did Impact, Raw, and pay-per-views. But now we expanded to more shows, and as it goes along, we're going to expand. I will probably not expand in August, but probably in September, just because in August I have a lot of work to do on books and in the hospital. So hopefully we'll keep expanding shows and doing it, because I know we got a lot of comments like, oh, cover Japan more, cover indies more, but we want to grow the channel with and also add shows. So in September, I hope, knock on wood, hopefully I'm not fucking selling you. Hopefully I'm not selling you wolf tickets. But hopefully we just keep improving, and hopefully with Jerry and David Cui's hard work, that eventually will become your #1 stop for combat sports news. All right, so yeah, go to Kocosports.com. Thank you for all those that left comments. Thank you, live viewers. And with that, I am over. Bum, 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 ba-dum, bum.